Hello everyone, my name is Shivakshi Dixit and I've secured AIR 64 in UPSC CSE 2020. This video is to specifically discuss my optional strategy, which was Commerce and Accountancy. I am a graduate in Commerce from Sriram College of Commerce and I'm currently pursuing Masters in Commerce from Delhi School of Economics. So as Commerce students writing civil services examinations, we face a number of doubts and questions, and the first of which is how to choose the optional. So the basic question is whether to go with our own subject, which is Commerce and Accountancy, or to take up a new subject, a humanities subject. So what I did for this was that I compared the syllabus of various subjects. I took a political science and public administration as they interested me, and I compared their syllabus. There was very little that I understood, obviously, without knowing anything about those subjects. And then I looked at my own subject, Commerce and Accountancy, and I realized that a large part of my syllabus had already been completed at my graduation level. And when I looked at the actual paper to gauge the level of the questions and the difficulty level, I realized that it is doable. With a little bit of practice, I could probably score really well in this optional. So the pros and cons of commerce as an optional, if we look at it, I think the biggest benefit is that you're already familiar with the subject, so you don't have to spend a lot of time as you would have to do for a new subject. And with a little bit polishing, you can get a very good score in your own subject. Then second advantage is that accountancy is quite scoring because of its numerical based questions. And cons, basic I think issues are that it does not overlap at all with GS, and it's a bulky optional. Both Commerce and Accountancy are quite bulky subjects in our domain, and even if we are just revising it, and we've done it at some point in our academic history, we will take around 4 to 5 months to properly revise it. Then accountancy requires regular practice. So there are questions and topics like financial management and income tax that cannot be left untouched for long. So you'll have to keep revising it so that you don't lose accuracy and speed in those topics. Another difficulty that I faced was with regards to resources. So there is very little UPSC oriented material that is available for this optional. We have to rely on our graduation books and some market material that is there in the market. So that is there, but of course when you have to do your proper and a very honest cost benefit analysis, and a very honest analysis would tell you the level of comfort that you have in this particular optional. If you are comfortable with accountancy specifically, which is a huge deciding factor, then it is definitely an optional that you should go for. But if you think that even after spending a lot of time, you may not get to a very comfortable or scoring point in accountancy, then I think you shouldn't hesitate in taking up other subjects. So do a very honest analysis for yourself. Look at the syllabus in a very detailed manner. Also look at the previous year papers. But the myth that there is that only people who've done graduation from a very good college, or only people who have completed their CAs can take this up as a subject, that is not true. The difficulty level of questions is not that high. So then we move to the book list. I referred to my graduation books for most of the syllabus of accountancy. because those were the books that I read from initially, and I was comfortable with those books. Accountancy is a mathematical subject, and the treatment is the same in every book. So I referred to B.K. Goyal sir's book for corporate accounts and financial accounts. Then I referred to M.N. Arora sir's book for cost and management accounting. I referred to R.P. Rustagi sir's book for financial management, and Girish Ahuja sir's book for income tax. So apart from them, there are some topics like financial markets and audit, which of course can be covered from books as well, but Rankers classes notes have a very well consolidated material on these topics. So I covered them from there, and then we moved to commerce. For commerce, again, topics like HRM or industrial relations, OT and OB. At BCom level at least, we don't cover these topics, and if you have covered it from any other book, even then I feel the books are a little lengthy source for such topics. They are management related topics, and it's very difficult to complete the syllabus if we start reading lengthy books on them. So I refer to Rankers classes notes on these topics. They are very, very well consolidated material, and I made crisp handwritten notes for revision purposes out of the Rankers material, and I was easily able to elucidate on those points in the actual exam. So with that, I think that would be a sufficient book list. Apart from the UPSC CSE examination, I also wrote the UPPCS examination, for which my book list was pretty much the same. I took the same option, but there are certain topics which are added, like hire purchase system and branch accounting and accountancy, for which I again used my financial accounts book by B.K. Goyal sir. So after the book list, we talk about the strategy. That is, how do we cover the syllabus and how do we revise it? So the logical thing to do is that those portions of the syllabus that are completely new to you, उनको आप पहले complete कर लें, and then you move to the known parts जिनको सिर्फ revise करना बचा हुआ है. But if the timeline or the time frame before your exam is very less, then you move to the value based covering of the syllabus. So फिर जो टॉपिक ज़्यादा पूछे जाते हैं या जिसमें आप ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल हैं, कॉन्फिडेंट हैं, उनको आप पॉलिश करिए so that you're able to score better. What I did was I completed accountancy before. I started with accounts, and I did it on purpose so that जो topics accounts में मेरे weak हैं वो मुझे clear हो जाए, and मैं उन्हें अच्छे से revise कर पाऊँ, बाद में भी मेरे पास time रहे इसलिए. So I was able to find out that questions like capital budgeting and basically financial management and income tax related questions, they need repeated revisions or repeated practice. So after completing accountancy, I prepared a revision plan for accounts, and then I started doing commerce. Every week I would revise or practice those questions from accountancy so that I did not completely lose a touch in them. And it really helped me because after prelims, when I started revising the optional and writing the tests, I was not completely out of touch. Then commerce को revise करने का एक अच्छा तरीका ये है that after completing your notes once, we can make handwritten crisp notes for revision purposes. I was able to condense my notes into very short notes, especially for OT and OB, because they are very lengthy. There are theories, there are pros and cons attached to every theory, and one has to remember them very, very properly to be able to write it. So make your self notes out of that particular note. And also, because the nature of questions is even for topics like HRM or IR, we are given 15 mark, 20 mark questions, and we need at least 10 to 12 subheadings to write in those questions. On the spot, आप कितना भी अच्छा अगर टॉपिक को समझते हैं, on the spot you will maximum be able to think of 6 to 8 subheads, right? So if you have prepared notes somewhere, एंड उसको आपने बहुत बार रिवाइज किया हुआ है, तो उसकी पिक्टोरियल इमेज आपके सामने आ जाती है जब आप एक्चुअली आंसर लिखने जाते हैं, एंड इट रियली हेल्प्स यू, इट रियली गिव्स यू पॉइंट्स टू राइट in that moment. So then we come to the answer writing part, which is a very important part of the entire preparation. So theory के answers की अगर हम बात करें तो लोग कॉमर्स के पार्ट पे बहुत ध्यान देते हैं आंसर राइटिंग पे, बट अकाउंटेंसी की थ्योरी को अक्सर नेग्लेक्ट करते हैं. दे फोकस मोर ऑन न्यूमेरिकल्स, बट इफ यू लुक एट दी प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स, theory forms a large part of accountancy paper as well. So इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट कि हम अकाउंट्स का जो भी पार्ट कवर कर रहे हैं न्यूमेरिकल्स, उससे अटैच्ड उस टॉपिक में जो भी थ्योरी है वी रिवाइज इट देन एंड देयर. ऑलवेज स्किम थ्रू द प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स कि किस तरह की थ्योरी पूछी जाती है. कई बार रिपीटेड नेचर रहता है स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस का, सो इट्स बेटर टू कंसोलिडेट मटीरियल ऑन दैट. आई यूज्ड टू टेक PDFs, आई यूज्ड टू मेक PDFs फॉर सच थ्योरी, स्पेशली कॉर्पोरेट अकाउंट्स और फाइनेंशियल अकाउंट्स जैसी जो थिक बुक्स हैं हमारी. लास्ट मोमेंट पे उनसे रिवाइज करने से ईजी हो जाता है अगर आपके पास कहीं कंसोलिडेटेड मटेरियल है. सम पीपल डू इट फ्रॉम रैंकर्स नोट्स, सम पीपल प्रेफर टू मेक हैंड रिटन नोट्स. सो वट एवर इट इज़, मेक श्योर आपके पास अकाउंट्स की थ्योरी के लिए भी प्रिपेयर्ड नोट्स हैं, सो दैट यू आर एबल टू अटेम्प्ट दैट टेक्निकल थ्योरी वेरी प्रॉपरली. देन कॉमर्स की थ्योरी की हम बात करें, हाउ टू राइट क्वालिटी आंसर्स. सो द फर्स्ट थिंग इज टू सेलेक्ट क्वेश्चंस वेरी प्रॉपरली. मेक श्योर you know and you've read all the sub parts of the questions properly before selecting them. Then keep yourself to the point. Do not beat around the bush. It's an academic subject. They test your depth of understanding and your ability to think on that topic. So make sure you're giving them very relevant points. And always divide your answer into different relevant portions. So if the question has 3 or 2 subparts, if it's a 20-mark question and there are 4 pages that are given to you, make sure you are giving equal amount of importance to each part of the question. And then we come to the diagram part कि डायग्राम कहाँ पर बनाने चाहिए, फ्लो चार्ट्स कहाँ पे बनाने चाहिए. सो OT एंड OB में देर आर थ्योरीज जहाँ पे प्रॉपर डायग्राम्स हैं जिनसे आप उन थ्योरीज को एक्सप्लेन करेंगे, तो वो डायग्राम्स डेफिनेटली यूज होने हैं. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, फ्लो चार्ट्स कैन बी यूज टू रिप्रेजेंट द इंफॉर्मेशन इन अ शॉर्ट स्पेस एंड इन लिमिटेड वर्ड्स. सो वेर एवर यू थिंक दैट द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज सच वेयर फ्लो चार्ट विल वर्क, वहाँ पर ही आप फ्लो चार्ट बना सकते हैं. आपके पास अगर टाइम कम है और काफ़ी सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन है आपके पास प्रेजेंट करने के लिए, you don't want to write lengthy sentences, you can make a flow chart or a small diagram, but do not do it unnecessarily. Also, when we read things, we read from a business perspective, mostly as commerce students, but when we are writing things for a civil services examination, we should be able to give a perspective that a civil servant should have. So maybe quote some government initiatives in human resource management, and when we are talking about changes or improvements in tax laws, maybe give the vision behind those changes also, and so that perspective should show in every which way. Wherever it is possible, one should incorporate that perspective in the answer. So with regards to answer writing practice, it's advisable कि आप previous year के questions को लेकर के मेंटल मैपिंग करें, बिकॉज फुल आंसर्स लिखने में कई बार बहुत टाइम जाता है. वी ऑल्सो हैव GS टू राइट एंड रिवाइज. सो वाइल यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, इट्स गुड दैट जो भी टॉपिक आपने पढ़ा है उससे रिलेटेड प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन देखिए एंड मेंटली थिंक वेदर और नॉट यू हैव रेलिवेंट कॉन्टेंट ऑन दैट. वी ऑल हैव रिटन यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम्स ऑन दीज टॉपिक्स, सो आई थिंक मेंटल मैपिंग से आप इजीली समझ पाएंगे कि आपको रिविजन की कितनी ज़रूरत है. Then actual answer writing practice for commerce, I think after the prelims, joining a proper test series can be done, जिससे आप time management and other चीज़ों को handle कर पाएंगे. So I think with and how do we revise accountancy? So regular revision में भी I did not solve the full length questions. I used to do calculator based revision for certain topics. बट जो ऐसे कुछ टॉपिक्स हैं जिनमें आपको अपनी स्पीड चेक करनी होती है, जैसे कि हमारे कॉर्पोरेट अकाउंट्स में कुछ क्वेश्चंस में 2 बैलेंस शीट्स बनानी पड़ जाती है, सो वैसे क्वेश्चंस को मैं बना के अक्सर चेक कर लेती थी वेदर आई एम एबल टू कंप्लीट इट विद इन रिक्विजिट टाइम और नॉट. सो दैट इज़ अ इंडिविजुअल जजमेंट दैट यू कैन यूज एंड रिवाइज. Then I think another thing that a lot of commerce students have asked me कि इंटरव्यू में किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं फ्रॉम पीपल फ्रॉम द कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड. सो आई हैव फेस 2 इंटरव्यूज विद दिस सेम ऑप्शनल, एंड दोनों में ही आपकी प्रोफाइल पे ही पूरे क्वेश्चंस रहते हैं जब आप कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड से जा रहे हैं और कॉमर्स को ऑप्शनल लेके जा रहे हैं. सो डेफिनेटली देयर विल बी अ नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम कॉमर्स, ऑल्दो मेजर फोकस जो है वो करंट इवेंट्स पे रहता है. आपसे थ्योरी बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं पूछे जाते हैं, ऑल्दो आई वाज आस्क्ड अबाउट ट्रिपल बॉटम लाइन अकाउंटिंग एंड या अ कपल ऑफ थ्योरी क्वेश्चंस, बट मोस्टली करंट रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन माई एक्चुअल UPSC इंटरव्यू आई वाज आस्क्ड टू कॉमेंट ऑन GST, द इम्प्रूवमेंट्स दैट आई वुड सजेस्ट इन GST, 3 improvements, and then India's export policies, also comment on FTA status, then national asset monetization pipeline. Also I was asked question on why so many companies are going for public listing, IPOs these days. So these are questions that are really related to your current, and of course we have these a commerce background and an understanding of it. So always be ready for such questions, and you just have to apply that understanding in that moment, and you'll be able to face those questions. Even the situational question that I was asked, it was related to commerce, that if I was meet the commerce minister for one day, what are your 3 changes that I would do? So with that, I think I've covered most of the things relating to this option, and I wish everybody taking the examination all the very best.